After my sister's death, she left a letter. She hoped I would marry her husband and take care of her daughter. My parents, who were deeply concerned about their daughter, didn't hesitate for a moment and forced me to marry my brother-in-law. I tirelessly took care of my brother-in-law and her daughter, raising my niece into a well-behaved and academically excellent child. My sick brother-in-law passed away peacefully. The day he died, my sister returned. She admitted the truth about her faked death and reunited with her daughter. I finally learned that she had feared that my brother-in-law's illness would drag her down, but she didn't want her daughter to hate her, so she came up with this plan. My sister pushed me off a high building. "Thank you for taking care of everything for so many years, but now this family no longer needs you." When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day my sister faked her death. My sister had joined an expedition team to the snowy mountains, but while the others returned, there was no sign of her. Be prepared, she fell off a cliff, and even her bones were hard to find. The team leader came to deliver the news, almost as if he were confirming my sister's death. If it was an accidental death, why was there still a will? Looking at the familiar instructions in the will, I smiled bitterly. It wasn't the life flashing before her eyes before death. I had been reborn. My parents held the letter and cried uncontrollably. My brother-in-law could barely stand and collapsed onto the sofa. He hugged my niece, who looked confused, still asking, "What happened to Mom? Why isn't she coming back?" Yes, my sister loved traveling, and she had been forced into marriage by my parents. But after marriage, she settled down and even told me she was very happy that she had found true love. To hell with true love. My brother-in-law's medical report came out half a month ago, but my sister had hidden it. She quickly joined a tour group. It was her first trip since marriage, so the family supported her. No one expected that we would receive her death notice. "Selena, it's all your fault. You insisted on supporting your sister's risky trip. How could she go on such a dangerous expedition? My sister's death is your responsibility." My mother gripped my arm tightly, then punched me on the head. In my past life, I was immersed in sorrow and thought it was my fault. So I listened to my family, broke up with the boyfriend I deeply loved, took care of the sick brother-in-law, and raised my niece. I thought I would atone for my sins in this life. But in the end, fate played a cruel joke on me. My sister hadn't died at all. She had bought a fake identity and had been living freely for 8 years. After my brother-in-law died, she immediately returned to meet her biological daughter. My parents were overjoyed, and they believed everything my sister said. "Welcome back. We've always been so sad, but we don't blame you for the memory loss. How could you have done anything wrong?" Even my niece had no reservations when she saw her mother, crying uncontrollably, "Mom, Mom, I missed you so much." All the years of tireless dedication to this family meant nothing in the end. Karina didn't even feel guilty. She actually wanted to kill me to solve the problem. What a group of cold-hearted family members. "Sister, since you want to die, I'll help you with that." I hid the coldness in my eyes and showed a look of sorrow. "Sister, how could my sister die? You all bought insurance for the expedition team. If she had an accident, you would have to pay us $3 million in compensation." As soon as I finished speaking, my mother slapped me. "Selena, I should have drowned you when you were young. After your sister died, you're still thinking about money. You've always been poor at studying, your brain is as stupid as a pig's, and your sister was so good to you. How could you be like this?" My mother's face turned red with anger, and her saliva splattered everywhere. But I didn't get angry. For this family, I no longer felt a shred of affection. "Mom, calm down. Sister's death is a fact now. Shouldn't we claim the compensation? Dora is so young, and she will need money for school in the future. Dora is my sister's only child, the one she cared for the most." Hearing my words, my mother regained some of her composure. "Yes, we must get the compensation." The man in front of me looked young and handsome, only a few years older than me. He frowned and said, "There is no compensation for suicide." I immediately retorted, "My sister cared so much about my brother-in-law and Dora. What reason would she have to commit suicide? I even suspect this will was forged. Is there any eyewitness to my sister's fall off the cliff?" Or I have reason to suspect that my sister was kidnapped by you, forced to write this will. Nowadays, many people are tricked into going abroad. I kept speaking, making the man's face turn unpleasant. He probably didn't expect me to be so difficult. And I could actually see panic on my parents' faces. What does this mean? Did they know from the start that my sister had faked her death, forced me to marry my brother-in-law, and raised my sister's child? If so, I would hate this family so much. What family bonds moral kidnapping? It's so disgusting. From the moment Karina tried to kill me, my last shred of kindness vanished. The man started stammering. He said that my sister had committed suicide and someone saw it, but then he said there were others who had seen something else. The expedition team was professional, but if we wanted to retrieve her body, it would cost us 200,000 to 300,000, and we might not even get anything. You're the one to blame for your sister's death. Are they trying to scam us too? My mother's gaze shifted, not daring to meet my eyes. My brother-in-law, who had been silent, stood up. He too believed there was something off about my sister's death. The will didn't explain her suffering or the reasons for her supposed suicide. We had reason to suspect foul play or even that she had been kidnapped. If there's anyone good left in this family, it would be my brother-in-law. He was a pitiful man, diagnosed with cancer afterward. Because he couldn't bear to leave his niece, he stubbornly went through chemotherapy, which was incredibly painful. I watched every day and felt sorry for him. If he knew my sister hadn't died, but had actually faked her death to avoid dragging him down, I couldn't imagine how he would feel. So, the first thing I had to do after being reborn was to help my brother-in-law get a divorce. He couldn't miss the best treatment window. After all, in my past life, when he passed away, he left all his inheritance to me. He knew I would take good care of his daughter, and that several million was the debt I owed him. But that also became the main reason why my sister wanted to kill me. Even my brother-in-law was thinking that way, and my parents' expressions were incredibly ugly. I supported my brother-in-law in calling the police, and the man's expression became awkward as he quickly left. The police had already started their investigation, and we were all called to the station for questioning. My brother-in-law and I gave similar statements. My sister had no reason to commit suicide, and the will was too suspicious. If it had been an accidental death, there wouldn't have been time to prepare a will. I'm not sure what my parents said, but they were definitely hiding something. With no food at home, we went out to a restaurant with my niece. My parents were still complaining. Selena, you killed your sister. And son-in-law, you're just as bad. She was being reckless and you went along with it. I smiled. Mom, Dad, then what reason did you think my sister had to commit suicide? Her husband had wealth, a career, and a lovely daughter, and you were so good to her. Did she commit suicide just because she hated me? They were silenced by my words. The police investigation continued, and in such a short time, my sister couldn't have faked her death so perfectly. So a week later, she came back to life. My parents were overjoyed, but their favoritism remained as obvious as ever. They only made food that my sister liked. Karen, you've had a hard time these past few days. How did you lose contact with the team? It's good to have you back. My mother wiped away non-existent tears. Then, the two of them scrambled to cook for her. My sister's face was also not looking good, and her tone was oddly sarcastic. I've never seen you care about me so much. I didn't expect you to be in such a rush when something happened. Sis, what do you mean? We're sisters after all. I wiped my tears while wearing a smile of happiness. Sis, what's in your bag that's so heavy? I quickly grabbed the bag from the sofa and dumped its contents out. My sister seemed to remember something and rushed to grab the bag from me. But it was too late. I had already taken the crumpled medical report from inside. What's this? Is my brother-in-law diagnosed with cancer? I shouted loudly. Stop talking nonsense. Your brother-in-law is fine. Why are you cursing him in broad daylight? My sister hurriedly explained. I furrowed my brows. Then what is this medical report? Last time when my brother-in-law had a nosebleed and went for a checkup, you said there was nothing serious, just rest. But this clearly says cancer. Selena, if you keep talking nonsense, I'll tear your mouth off. My sister shot me a venomous glare, as if she wanted to tear me apart on the spot. My brother-in-law's face turned pale. Wife, is what Selena said true? It wasn't easy for him to hear that he was seriously ill. But in my past life, it was because my sister faked her death and hid the illness that my brother-in-law didn't get checked until 6 months later, missing the best treatment window. I had to tell the truth to save his life. She's talking nonsense. You're just afraid that I'm living too well out there, and you probably wish for me to die out there. There's no such thing as a medical report. I just went to the hospital for a checkup when I returned. There's nothing wrong, just a little stomach inflammation. My sister crumpled the report and used the excuse of going to take a shower to head back to the master bedroom. Brother-in-law, I really didn't see it wrong. You should go to the hospital and check it yourself. I reminded him again. My brother-in-law was a smart man. After seeing my sister come back from the dead and finding the diagnosis report in her bag, he should have figured it out. But I still overestimated him. Selena, your sister would never deceive me. Our child is already 6 years old. You should trust your sister too. I fell silent. My brother-in-law was too honest. It seemed that I had no choice but to escalate the matter and make everyone aware of it. So, at dinner, I brought up my brother-in-law's illness again. Sis, you didn't run away because of his condition, did you? That will and the handwriting verification clearly show it's your writing. What you did is really irresponsible. Medical science has advanced. Early treatment would have cured him. I had made the hint clear enough, hadn't I? The handwriting verification was a key piece of evidence. Shut up, you nonsense-spouting fool. My mom, as usual, tried to slap me, but I quickly crouched down. Her slap landed on my sister's face. Mom, what are you doing? My sister shouted angrily. But soon, she turned all the blame onto me. Selena, are you crazy? You live and eat in my house, and now you're cursing my husband with cancer? Get out of here. Fine, I get it. Have you been trying to seduce your brother-in-law all along? I always wondered why you're so strange, doing something so despicable. Then my sister started crying. Mom, how could my sister be like this? My mother's face twisted in anger, and she immediately tried to grab something to hit me. I had tolerated their beatings before, mainly because I was worried they would use my madness as an excuse to refuse to call the police. But now, I couldn't hold back anymore. Having done most of the housework, I was quite strong. I stood up and flipped the table over. I'll make sure none of you eat. Sis, what's the meaning of this? I give half of my salary to the family every month. Is that not enough to even feed me? You kept my brother-in-law's illness a secret. Are you trying to kill him for insurance money? Don't think you can hide this from me. The handwriting verification from the police has already come out. That was written by you, Mom and Dad. Why haven't you spoken up? My dad's face showed shock. How did you? Before he could finish, my sister interrupted him. Sis, are you trying to tear this family apart? Mom and Dad might be a bit biased, but it's because you don't listen. You should be grateful to them. Without them, where would you be? My niece was crying uncontrollably. My sister tried to comfort her, but at the same time, she continued to scold me. Since I was little, they told me what to do. Now that I have a job, half my salary goes to them, and yet I still have to do all the housework. Am I being treated like a slave in this family? Are you even brave enough to let my brother-in-law go to the hospital and check the medical records? Are you going to show the handwriting verification? My mom was shaking with rage, and anything she could grab, she threw at me, including a vase. Is this what a real mother does? I thought I couldn't avoid it this time, especially when my dad grabbed my wrist. But unexpectedly, my brother-in-law stepped in and blocked me. Stop. Selena might still be young, but she's in her 20s now. Mom and Dad, if you throw that vase, have you considered the consequences? Family disputes are normal, but if you start hitting people, that changes everything. I quickly broke free from my dad's grip. I definitely wasn't going to stay in this house tonight. As I ran out, my sister was still grabbing my brother-in-law and questioning him if he had some special relationship with me. It seemed she was truly afraid of him going to the hospital to check the report. I rented a small apartment near my office, and I kept my important things there. I never could think of this house as my real home. Even when I went back to sleep at night, I always felt like an outsider, pushed aside by my family. Maybe it was because I lacked love as a child. Regardless, I was grateful that I had rented a place. If I hadn't, I would have had to stay in a hotel tonight. A message from my boyfriend pulled me out of my thoughts. He came to find me and hugged me tightly. Selena, I missed you so much these past 2 days. I thought you'd be stuck at home tonight. Then he bent down, allowing me to touch his cheek and ruffle his hair. I blinked, tears welling up in my eyes. I missed you so much, so much. He had only been gone for 2 days, but I hadn't seen him in over 10 years. The feeling of being reunited made me so happy. And in my boyfriend's eyes, it was the first time I openly expressed my emotions with such warmth. He was overjoyed. I suddenly remembered how I used to fear losing love, so I pretended not to care about anything. How ridiculous that was. Now, I realized that when you love someone, you should hold on tight. We stayed together at my rented apartment for the next few days. He would cook meals and wait for me to finish work, and he even kept the place tidy. He told me that he had already bought a house and the ownership was in my name. He said, as soon as I said the word, we could get married at any time. Let's wait a bit longer, it's almost time. I hugged him. Before this, I had to get out of that horrible family. I disappeared for a few days, and my parents and sister bombarded me with calls. They tried to pressure and bribe me into coming back to help persuade my brother-in-law not to divorce my sister. If I didn't return, they threatened to make trouble at my company. I secretly asked my niece about their plan. It turns out they were planning to frame me for seducing my brother-in-law. Well, I came up with a plan. When I arrived home, my sister slapped me right away. I quickly dodged and pushed her back. You still dare to dodge? You seduced Braden to make him divorce me, didn't you? Was that all your idea? She cried as she spoke, and the people in the living room began to scold me. Selena was always so well-behaved when she was little. How could she grow up to do such despicable things? She must be jealous of her sister. I looked around and realized that all of our relatives were here. Selena, if you still consider us family, you should kneel down and apologize to your sister and persuade your brother-in-law not to divorce her. Otherwise, you'll never be allowed to step into our family again. Before I could say anything, they had already sentenced me. My parents also chimed in, confirming that I had indeed done something wrong to my sister. The most ridiculous thing was, I didn't even have my brother-in-law's contact information. They had counted on this. If they didn't humiliate me today, they'd never be satisfied. Fine, I replied with a provocative tone. So, what if I seduced him? Braden earns millions a year, money you'll never make in your whole life. Go ahead, cut ties with me now, I've been ready for it. You think I care? Now that I was back, I had every intention of making them furious. The anger of the relatives was ignited, and they tried to drive me out of the house, making my parents sign papers to sever all ties with me. This was exactly the effect I wanted. My mother still tried to persuade me. Selena, I know you're just angry. If you apologize to your sister and persuade your brother-in-law not to divorce her, your father and I will forgive you. No, he must divorce her. If he doesn't, how will I have a chance? I won't apologize to my sister, not even for this. I sat on the couch with my legs crossed, acting completely indifferent. Selena, are you crazy? My sister asked, puzzled. After all, I wasn't following the usual script. At this point, I was supposed to explain myself and then be hated by the relatives. But since I was going to be scolded anyway, I was going to maximize my benefits. The relatives began to scold me fiercely, demanding that my parents sign the severance papers. My parents were reluctant, but they had no choice and were forced to sign. I quickly packed the signed papers into my bag and, with memories from my past life, I dialed my brother-in-law's number to explain the situation to him. My sister leaned close and mocked me. You even have Braden's phone number? Who are you calling to help you? Blame yourself for spilling his illness and ruining my marriage. Don't think you'll get away with it. I glanced at her, too lazy to respond. A crowd of people was in a standoff, occasionally yelling insults at me. They were all upset because they learned that my brother-in-law was going to divorce my sister and they wouldn't get any more money from him. That's why they rushed here to oppose me. It didn't matter whether I was right or wrong. As long as my brother-in-law didn't divorce my sister, that's all that mattered. Soon enough, A Maybach drove in. It was my brother-in-law coming back. How do you have his number, Selena? You really did seduce your brother-in-law. My sister was about to explode. She was really something. I innocently blinked and said, Sis, now that brother-in-law is back, let's clear up any misunderstandings face to face. If he's divorcing you, let the elders in the family try to persuade him. You all go persuade him. I'm no longer part of your family. I have no right to meddle in your family matters. Are you really that unrepentant? My brother-in-law's gaze toward my sister grew colder. It's because I'm diagnosed with cancer and don't want to drag Karen down. With one sentence, my brother-in-law shut everyone up, not letting my sister be embarrassed. Brayden, if you divorce Karen, how will she and her mother live? Yeah, if you don't give them enough money to live on, you can't just abandon them. I smiled, even clapping my hands. My mother shot me a glare. You little brat, what are you laughing at? With such a big matter, how dare you laugh? If I die, it will be because of you and your actions that drove me to it. I smiled and said, Mom, sister found out about brother-in-law's illness and tried to fake her death to escape. Now that she failed and came back, brother-in-law found out and wants a divorce. Do you still have the face to pressure relatives to ask for money? Really, taking advantage of the situation and pretending to be innocent while hiding the illness? I thought sister was trying to kill her husband for insurance money. Then accusing me of seducing brother-in-law and causing the divorce. It's just like mother, like daughter. No wonder you always favored her. My words were sharp as if laced with poison, and no one could stop me. I vented everything I wanted to say, speaking the truth, however important. If a fire broke out in the villa right now, I'd just sit there laughing. The bigger the mess, the happier I was. The faces of the relatives looked as if they had eaten something awful. My mother was even more dramatic, pretending to faint on the spot. Sister, who had been at a loss, immediately began wailing and screaming. Others used the excuse to leave. Karen, I've changed my mind. Brother-in-law's words seemed to bring some relief to my sister. You're not divorcing me? You know I was just confused for a moment. How could I not love you? Oh my God, this idiot was beyond help. The child stays with me, and the lawyers will talk to you about everything else. With the current situation, you and the child will end up ruining each other. Don't worry, I'm not dying anytime soon and won't remarry. I won't let our daughter suffer. After brother-in-law finished speaking, a group of people arrived. It was a moving company. He was about to move out. All right, I admit I was wrong. I take back the harsh words I said earlier. Brayden, you can't do this. When you married me, how did you promise me? How can you go back on your word? You can't just abandon me. My sister was hysterical, screaming. I reminded her with a smirk. Sis, the premise is that you didn't do such inhumane things. You've already done everything, said everything. You've left no way out for brother-in-law. Now that brother-in-law is getting treatment, shouldn't everyone be happy? If I were you, I'd have no face to make a scene. I wouldn't even have bothered to say it unless I was provoking her. Sister, enraged, tried to strangle me. Even my fainting mother got up from the floor and came at me in anger. At this point, I had gotten what I wanted, so it was time to make my exit. I hopped into a taxi and quickly left. From the rearview mirror, I saw my mother stumble and fall quite fitting. At least she wouldn't be wasting medical resources. She was actually going to the hospital. The next day, I went to handle my household registration transfer. My dad was so disgusted. He probably never wanted to see me again in his life, but he came with me anyway. The first thing I did after this matter was resolved was to find my boyfriend. He was still at the office. I went straight downstairs to wait for him. Even though he was already the CEO, he rushed down like an excited puppy, eager to meet me. Selena, little princess, what brings you here today? I still have 4 hours until I finish work. Then we can think about where to go on our date. I grinned and pulled out my household registration book from my bag, saying, I've transferred my household registration. Let's get married. This life, I definitely won't miss it. In my past life, every time I saw news about him online, it would hurt so much I could hardly breathe. We were each other's soulmates, and this time, I would face my heart directly. What does it matter if I'm worthy? If you love me, then we should be together. I didn't care how others saw me. I was absolutely not going to lose him. His face became serious, and he made a phone call. Later is fine too. I'm not in a rush. I walked up to him and said. He then took my hand and replied, let's go. I'll call my assistant to get the household registration book. I've already taken leave from the company. The Civil Affairs Bureau hasn't closed yet, so we're going now. Before I could react, he had already pulled me along, running. At that moment, I was sure I was happy, surrounded by happiness. Everything was going so smoothly that I felt like I was in a dream. I received a friend request from my brother-in-law. Though I was confused, I accepted it. He told me he was going through the divorce process with my sister. He had given her $1 million, left her the house, and he was taking the child with him. This family had many years of memories for me. But now, the outcome was the best it could be. Brother-in-law was leaving with Dora, and the retribution for the three of them was coming. I snapped out of my thoughts and told him the news about my marriage. On the day we met each other's parents, my brother-in-law represented my maternal side. He even brought my niece along. When the child saw me, she immediately wanted a hug. Auntie. She was still so cute when she was little. She said, Daddy said, even though we don't live together, both Daddy and Mommy will love me. I'm the only child. I'll go with Daddy. Mommy has Grandpa and Grandma, but Daddy has no one. Dora wants to be with Daddy. That made me feel even better. Yes, in this life, everything would be different. My boyfriend's parents were very understanding, considering the difficulties of my family background, and tried not to bring it up. But they didn't treat me any differently. The dowry, wedding jewelry, and everything were ready. Selena's dowry is a house in the city center. She's my daughter's aunt, and I'm her maternal family. My brother-in-law's temperament was always gentle. He never liked to joke around. Everything he said was well thought out. I really wanted to hold back my tears, but they just kept flowing. Deep down, I was insecure, but at this moment, I felt like I had the strength. Yes, who says you must have blood ties to be a family? Mr. Yi, you're too polite. Selena is marrying into our family, and we're all family now. In the future, we should meet more often and come to our house for the new year. My boyfriend's parents knew my niece was coming, so they prepared a small gift for her. At this moment, the little one was happily giggling. But things weren't completely over. My sister started a live stream with my parents publicly accusing me online. As she put it, since she couldn't stop the divorce, she wanted to make sure no one would have a good life. My sister even encouraged my own daughter to leave me. This is my fate. In the live stream, my sister was crying her heart out. It almost looked like it was scripted, with my mother saying, she hasn't eaten for days, and even your dad was so furious he had to be hospitalized. The whole internet turned against me. My company suspended me. But all of this was just small matters, and in fact, they were only building the narrative. My sister arranged to meet me. Has your boyfriend broken up with you? After all, you're the one who seduced my husband. Brayden won't even let me see our daughter. Was that your idea? I chuckled and replied, Sister, you're as stubborn as always, aren't you? It's right for brother-in-law to be worried that you might influence Dora. So, what's your real aim? I asked directly. She didn't hide it. I know your boyfriend's family has some money. Ask him for $3 million and I'll help you clear things up. Otherwise, you can forget about living a peaceful life. Am I really your sister? At my question, she laughed happily. Unfortunately, yes, we are real blood sisters. This is also Mom and Dad's idea. Asking for $3 million isn't too much, right? If it weren't for you, Brayden wouldn't have discovered the divorce. This is just a little lesson for you. Her expression grew colder, her tone as if she were offering me charity. If you weren't my sister, I would have already taken care of you. Indeed. In my past life, didn't she already try to kill me? $3 million was no small amount. Give me a few days. I sighed. She thought I had given in. From her perspective, I was finished anyway. But of course, I had to get my revenge. So that day when I got home, I prepared 2 plans. Cutting ties was one thing, but recording evidence was another. When I got home, I immediately posted the unedited video and bought 5,000 yuan of traffic. I followed the trends, and being on the trending list was inevitable. A solid clarification was to just post the evidence, right? Things escalated so much that reporters came to interview my relatives. In the end, those people, for the sake of face, all confirmed the truth about my parents and sister. They admitted they had all been deceived. My sister's clothing and nail salon business collapsed. The power of the public was incredible. I thought she would be so angry she'd kill me, but unexpectedly, she invited me to dinner. She even said our parents would be there and asked me to bring my boyfriend. Netizens are cursing me, but I've come to my senses. I was too extreme before. Sister now realizes she was wrong. After all, we're family, right? Are you really going to avoid seeing your parents for the rest of your life? You and your boyfriend are going to get married. If you don't have a maternal family, how will you manage? Your in-laws will bully you. Even my parents spoke to me in a calm, reasonable tone. It all felt so strange. Something was definitely going on. I set the dinner date for a week later. Before that, I paid a private investigator to follow my sister. She was actually planning to buy aphrodisiacs. What did this mean? Was she trying to seduce my boyfriend? I couldn't believe she came up with such a twisted plan to frame me. Turns out, it was all her own doing. She truly handed me an opportunity on a silver platter. I took advantage of it, making sure the substances were slipped into her purchase. She had chosen such a shady way of buying. She couldn't blame me. After all, I'd been plotting for over a decade. It was time for the revenge to come to fruition. I certainly couldn't let her live happily. On the day of the dinner, the three of them were dressed up in their finest clothes, especially my sister, who wore a strapless dress. My boyfriend didn't even dare to look up at her. Out of respect for me, he didn't dare to rush them or ask when they would leave. I quietly said, if I leave later, you should also find an excuse to leave. My boyfriend nodded obediently. As expected, not long after, my parents used the excuse that they needed to talk to me privately and tricked me out. They chatted aimlessly with me, even saying that they had wronged me over the years, trying to keep me there. I couldn't shed a single tear. Their fake compassion was revolting. My dad occasionally glanced at his watch, his lips curling up. In the future, we'll all live together. When you're married, your parents can help look after the kids. Nowadays, young people don't even take care of kids. Leave them to us, don't worry. Leave them to you? Then how did my child die? Would I never know? They delayed me for half an hour. I became furious and was about to leave, but only then did they let me go from the restaurant. My boyfriend had already been waiting in the car. His face was grim. He stuttered as he explained, afraid I wouldn't believe that my sister was trying to seduce him. I swear, wife, I'm not lying. I didn't mean to sow discord. I believe you, let's go home. I'll cook dinner for you. I yawned tiredly but felt in a good mood. My boyfriend watched me cautiously. You're not going to poison me, right? I punched him on the head. He then laughed. Now that's my wife. When my sister's plan failed, my parents, once again, acted as mediators and asked to meet me. I said I was too busy, telling them to call me. Selena, you ruined your sister's marriage, and now you have to compensate her. Give your boyfriend to her. Otherwise, we'll pretend you're no longer our daughter. Think carefully, do you want family or that man? I shouted loudly, Mom and Dad, is there even a choice here? That's more like it. Of course, I choose my boyfriend. You two can't even compare. There's no contest. If you both just find a block of tofu and smash your heads against it, how can you call me? Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning? Don't make phone calls in the rain. You might get struck by lightning, especially you, parents with black hearts. I hung up quickly. They called me every few days. In the past, they would curse me, but now that I had a chance, I decided to let them have it. But I knew this wouldn't last long. My dear sister had probably realized she was on the wrong path by now. Some things, once ingested, can drive a person crazy. They become highly addictive, starting with a few days of not eating and feeling sick until they need it every day, even multiple times a day. It was expensive, and it made her bankrupt. The money from the divorce settlement was nowhere near enough to fund her lavish lifestyle. She even used my parents as an excuse to call and ask me for money. My parents gave birth to you, and even if you want to sever ties, you still have to give me support money, $5 million at once. Karina, are you running a loan shark business? You're just spitting out numbers. Do you know what severing ties means? It means no more support. I'm not giving you a single penny. If you don't give me the money, I swear I won't let you live in peace. My sister threatened me on the phone. I was quiet for a moment. Then I laughed and said, I believe you, but only if you can live in peace for a few days before trying to torment me. She's a smart one and soon guessed what I meant. She pressured me to tell her if I knew something. I hung up and blocked her. A few days later, my parents contacted me again, saying my sister had sold her house and asking me to buy them a new one. You scammers didn't even bother to check. I've already severed ties with my parents. I'm not buying you any house. Scammers deserve to die. You should all just go die. My brother-in-law told me that my sister had gotten involved with something, and my parents sent her to a rehab center. He asked me not to give her money. Addicts are beyond saving. If she hadn't been so twisted in her thinking, she wouldn't have ended up like this. I believe Selena. You won't do that. By the way, Dora wants to spend the weekend with you. I'm going to the hospital for treatment. Could you take her to the amusement park? He then transferred 100,000 yuan to me. I thought, it's rare that he could face all this so calmly. I thought I would never see my parents again, since they said they never wanted to see me in this lifetime. But their words came true. After my sister was released from the rehab center, she accidentally killed my mother. I didn't want to go back. 2 days later, my father also unexpectedly died. My sister received the accidental death insurance money and began to squander it. I called the police, reporting that my parents were murdered, not victims of an accident. After taking too much of the wrong stuff, my sister's hair fell out and her face became hollow. She looked like neither a human nor a ghost. She even tried to take Dora from the kindergarten, but fortunately, my brother-in-law had protected Dora well and the bodyguards stopped her in time. My sister was arrested by the police. The destruction of my family didn't make me sad. There was no one to hold a funeral. I thought for a moment, but still went back. After everything was over, I left in a hurry. The relatives who wanted to contact me were all blocked. I was no longer part of this family. I had my own family, and in a few months, I'd meet my own baby.